And there was some things that were happening at the Santa Barbara airport last night. Things around Harry and Meghan.
As family, do you ever have disagreements about things?
Oh, yes. Healthy disagreement.
Okay, the last thing you disagreed on, how do you resolve it?
I can't remember, they come so thick and fast. but is it resolved? We don't know.
Meghan Markle is spiraling, and this time it's not just a PR hiccup or another royal eye roll. Number this is full-on royal chaos and a cup of tea literally flying Prince Harry's way. Now, this is not just a rumor because a royal author just spilled the kind of piping hot detail that's got even die-hard Sussex fans doing double takes. We're talking broken royal protocol, shattered teacups, and a tantrum that allegedly sent everyone around her scrambling. According to royal biographer Tom Bower, Meghan Markle didn't just get upset with Prince Harry, she launched a cup of tea into the air during a full-on meltdown. Yes, you heard that right. Meghan threw a cup of tea in front of staff during a royal tour. All because Harry was doom-scrolling hate comments online. And that's just the beginning, because now more people are stepping forward with their own story about Meghan and her alleged rudeness that even the royal palace cannot control. Let's just dive right into it. Now, I don't know about you, but when we're hearing that Meghan's fury was so intense that tea was flying through the air mid-conversation, that's not just moody Duchess behavior, that's giving Duchess Difficult on steroids. And the craziest part? This wasn't some rogue gossip item. It's coming from Tom Bower, the man who's made a career digging into the dark corners of royal drama. This explosive moment allegedly went down during Meghan and Harry's highly publicized 2018 royal tour of Australia, the same trip that was supposed to cement their status as the fresh, modern face of the monarchy. Instead, Bower claims Meghan was verbally lashing out at aides, clashing with diplomats, and, get this, had staff literally walking on eggshells. One heated argument with Harry over social media spiraled so badly that Meghan reportedly hurled a cup of tea into the air. That's not a metaphor. That's actual tea, mid-flight. According to Tom Bower's scathing biography, Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the war between the Windsors, things were far from picture-perfect behind the scenes. While the public saw a smiling Duchess waving to crowds and walking barefoot on the beach, staff reportedly saw a completely different side. Bower claims Meghan had already developed a reputation among staff for being abrasive, particularly toward the 4 female aides traveling with them. He even alleges that her behavior extended to British diplomats, calling her attitude toward them downright hostile. But the moment that's grabbing the most attention? The tea incident. Bower describes a late-night argument between Meghan and Harry over his nightly ritual, doom-scrolling the internet for negative comments about them. Apparently, Meghan didn't like that one bit. She felt Harry was feeding into the negativity and giving the trolls power. And instead of talking it out, Meghan reportedly snapped and flung a hot cup of tea into the air out of sheer rage. And let's be clear, this wasn't just a lover's spat behind closed doors. Staff allegedly witnessed the meltdown firsthand. Can you imagine being a diplomat or a royal aide, standing in a 5-star suite in Sydney and watching the Duchess of Sussex lose it so bad that the tea starts flying? This one explosive moment might not have made headlines back in 2018, but now it's front and center, and it's reigniting every single allegation that's been leveled against Meghan for years.
Not all royals like Australia, Harry and Meghan. Meghan in particular, she spoke about how this tour changed everything. Why?
Well, it changed everything for good and bad. It changed everything, in Harry's words, because the royal family got to see how brilliant Meghan was at the job. But from Meghan's perspective, and we've heard about this, that she sort of questioned, why are these people coming out? This is just silly. And she just couldn't actually see the role of the monarchy and what it meant. And when it was explained to her that this is the institution, this is how it works, this is how we go and we meet people and we go on walkabouts, but she couldn't quite understand it in a theoretical perspective.
Don't even get me started with how the media would drag her because of her alleged rudeness. In fact, Meghan had been labeled multiple nicknames because of her behavior. In the front lines are the usual faces such as Piers Morgan, Greg Gutfeld, and Megyn Kelly. And let's just say they never hold back.
How are you here, and why are you here? All you've done is trash this country, trash the royals, trash the monarchy, and upset the Queen. What are you doing here?
At one point, Piers even compared Meghan to a Kardashian. On the other hand, Greg was not far behind, with his fiery accusations and statements aimed at Meghan. During a segment with Piers, the journalist went on and slammed the Duchess, basically saying she and her husband only help themselves.
You look good.
Right.
And there's perfect evidence of this because they never help anybody but themselves.
And they never mean it.
When they fail, they don't even change course.
Yeah, they never mean it. It's never about actually anything but enriching themselves and making themselves look virtuous. And preaching one thing and doing the complete opposite.
Meghan Markle posted a bizarre video on her social media yesterday, which sent several people into absolute meltdown. It is the cringiest, most uncomfortable piece of tape I've seen in a long time. I'm sorry, but I'm going to make you watch it.
And Meghan? Well, let's just say she has a lot of thoughts about Meghan's recent pregnant twerking video. Now, let's not pretend this came out of nowhere. The nickname Duchess Difficult wasn't some tabloid invention, it came from within the palace. Whispers about Meghan's temper, her controlling ways, and her tendency to micromanage began circulating almost as soon as she slipped on that engagement ring. In fact, by 2018, the same year as the tea-tossing tour, 2 of her royal aides quit. And it didn't stop there. More staff reportedly left in the months that followed, prompting Kensington Palace to quietly launch an internal investigation into Meghan's alleged bullying behavior. Yeah, an actual investigation. Tatler, The Hollywood Reporter, The Times, they all documented these claims. One insider described her as a dictator in high heels, while another said she belittles people and doesn't take advice.
In September 2024, Hollywood Reporter called her a dictator in high heels who reduced grown men to tears, suggesting Meghan is desperate to receive accolades and public approvals and longs to be perceived as the best thing since sliced bread. That's the Hollywood Reporter.
And according to Bauer, Meghan didn't just ignore her staff, she steamrolled them. And it just keeps getting worse. A royal insider claimed that Meghan once berated a Windsor gardener so harshly, the late Queen Elizabeth personally stepped in. Yes, Her Majesty herself had to shut it down. According to historian Hugh Vickers, while Meghan and Harry were living at Frogmore Cottage, Meghan was allegedly very rude to one of the undergardeners. Word got back to the Queen, and let's just say she was not amused. The Queen reportedly reprimanded Meghan directly, reminding her that rudeness to staff was absolutely unacceptable in the royal household. And let's not forget those infamous 5 a.m. emails, messages so demanding and constant that aides said they felt completely burnt out. One palace source told The Times, "She knows exactly what she wants, and she's very vocal. She's not afraid to tell people off." Now combine that energy with an already strained royal institution, plus a prince who's emotionally dependent on her, and you get a pressure cooker ready to blow. So when did that tea hit the air? That wasn't just an accident. That was the lid flying off a pot that had been boiling for years. And y'all, it wasn't just staff who felt Meghan's wrath. Even the Queen allegedly wanted out. Bauer claims that when Meghan didn't attend Prince Philip's funeral in 2021, Queen Elizabeth actually sighed in relief and muttered, "Thank goodness."
Cameo.
Tell me about the Queen. The Queen apparently, you report, didn't want Meghan at Philip's funeral. Why?
Well, she didn't want the attention diverted from Philip. If Meghan had been there, she would have got all the attention. I mean, the Harry walk up the hill with William that just showed how the media was focused on the reconciliation and everything after Oprah.
And let's talk about the Platinum Jubilee in 2022. According to Bauer, Meghan and Harry were furious they weren't allowed to stand beside the Queen on the Buckingham Palace balcony. Why? Because Meghan allegedly believed her value to Netflix relied on being seen next to the monarch.
Was it the Queen that kicked them off the balcony at the Jubilee?
Well, I think it was the Queen, but also I'm sure Charles and William had a big say in that. They weren't going to allow Netflix to dominate their big celebration.
Yes, you heard that correctly. It wasn't about honoring the Queen or celebrating tradition. It was allegedly about optics and money. And when their demand was denied, Meghan was reportedly fuming. It was one of the few times the firm pushed back, and Meghan didn't take it lightly. They ended up making just one brief appearance that weekend at St. Paul's Cathedral, far from the spotlight they reportedly craved. This paints a picture that even the late Queen, who rarely voiced personal opinions publicly, had reached her limit. And if she had enough, that says a lot.
Relief that Meghan wouldn't be coming back to the UK for Prince Philip's funeral. She apparently turned to an aide and said, thank goodness Meghan isn't coming. Meghan at the time was pregnant with Lilibet, and it came just weeks after that Oprah Winfrey interview. Another interview that with Vanity Fair that Meghan had done in the early days of her relationship with Prince Harry had apparently left her hysterical after Buckingham Palace was less than happy with the front page.
So where does this leave Meghan? She came into the royal family with charm, confidence, and global appeal. But behind that glossy exterior, more and more insiders are painting a much different story. A story of tantrums, tension, and teacups flying across the room. If Tom Bower's account is even halfway accurate, it's clear Meghan wasn't just misunderstood, she may have been unmanageable. And with staff quitting, investigations launched, and even the Queen allegedly breathing sighs of relief in her absence, that fairy tale image is starting to look more like a royal nightmare. Of course, Meghan's supporters say it's all part of a coordinated smear campaign, that the palace wanted her gone from day one. But as the stories pile up, you've got to wonder, is Meghan the victim or the chaos herself? What do you think? Is the tea-throwing story just another overblown tabloid rumor? Or is it the moment that finally confirms what the palace tried so hard to keep behind closed doors? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because with Meghan Markle, the tea never stays in the cup for long.